Hello, and welcome to Rob's Paraloony Podcast, where we talk about all things paranormal, like ghosts with the most, psychic vampires, and spies with their bloody evil eyes. It's a little bit like if Art Bell took up schizomaxing. Tonight, we have a very special guest for you. His name is Matthew John Smith, and he is the author of the Killer Mike and the Blood Slug series. So strap in, put your bananas away, your two lips too, 'cause here we go.
Hello, my name is Matthew John Smith, and Rob has invited me to tell you about some experiences I've had in my life. I'm going to start with the time I saw a Merkaba. For anyone who doesn't know what a Merkaba is, I'm going to offer a very armchair layman's explanation. Take it with a grain of salt. If I say anything wrong or you want to go research some stuff, go look up a Merkaba yourself. That's Merkabah, right? A Merkaba comes from the Jewish Kabbalah. It looks like the Star of David. It's often depicted as like a Star of David in the sky, perhaps surrounded with what looks like a ball of light or ball of fire. It was described to me. So here's part of the story is like the year before I believe I saw this thing, I was homeless in Eugene, and a young man introduced me to the concept. He was maybe an 18 or 19-year-old kid, and we were smoking weed at the park, and he was like, he was talking about different kind of mystic stuff, and he brought up this thing called a Merkaba, or a Merkaba, and how he was working on manifesting one. And he explained it was an energetic vehicle through which you could travel the astral planes and or possible alternate dimensions. That was kind of his explanation for it. Again, take all that with a grain of salt and look it up for yourself if it's interesting to you. So that leads me to the time that I believe I saw one. Eugene, Oregon is a small city that has a hill at the north end of downtown called Skinner's Butte. And it's not a terribly tall hill, but it's tall enough that like even about halfway up in the way the elevation of the town is, like once you're about halfway up it, you can see quite a bit out over the rest of the town. At night, it's a nice view. Any time of day, it's a nice view. We used to call it going up the butt, be like, oh, you want to go up the butt? And that usually meant like, let's hike up the butte and like either drink or smoke or whatever you're going to do, you know? And so this particular day, I had been trying to get high. I had just woken up from like probably a full day's nap after a bit of a stimulant binge. I was a methamphetamine user at the time. But I woke up, you know, after a long nap, essentially sober, and I ran into my friend Cheeseburger and Val, both of whom are since passed away. But I ran into them, and they were like, oh man, we just missed you. We had a little ice. Like, we would have shared it with you, but they had just shot it up. And, you know, I only smoked. And so they didn't have any left to share, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, whatever, I'll just hang out with you anyway. And then we got a text, or somebody got a text from our friends Eden and AJ, who were notorious around the town at the time. I'm using their real names. I almost am positive that they won't care or mind. So we get a text from Eden and AJ that we should come up the butt. You know, they're having whiskey and they have like blunts to smoke, so we should go up the butte and smoke with them and drink. And so me, Cheeseburger, and Valerie went up Skinner's Butte. We met up with the Eden and AJ. And I'm going to say it was anywhere from a third of the way up the butte to maybe half, like, you know, to 2/3, like at most, somewhere in that range. Like we weren't all the way up. We're on some like grassy landing, you know, up the side of it, facing south, you know, towards the downtown. And it was just starting to get dark. Like the sky was, I feel like it was crazy because it feels like the sky was blue with stars starting to show in the distance. Right when it happened, and it took like a couple minutes, like long enough that the sky got dark in the process of it happening. It was like really transitory. The whole experience like went from like twilight into darkness at the same time that we saw this thing. Okay, so we're sitting up on the butte. I've had maybe one shot of the bottle of whiskey, and I've had maybe one pull of the weed. Everyone else is fairly intoxicated to some extent or another. Like Valerie and Cheeseburger had, used meth, and Eden and AJ were fairly drunk when we got there already. I think this was their second bottle of whiskey, and they had already shared one between them. They were professional drinkers at the time, though. I wasn't too terribly worried about them. And we were helping them, I think, with the second bottle of Evan Williams White Label. And like I said, maybe I had one shot of whiskey, pull off the blunt or something. So I'm still essentially like not fucked up, And I remember Valerie pointed, and what she said was, "Is that supposed to be there?" And just something about that was her choice of words when she saw the thing. It wasn't, "What is that?" It's like, that's not supposed to be here. And so she pointed, and we all looked, and I'm going to say it was above whatever ground part that we were on. It was maybe 20 feet in the air and maybe 20 feet away from us, give or take 5 feet, or like maybe it was 30, you know what I mean? But it was relatively close. Like theoretically, I felt like if I had picked up a rock, I could have thrown it at it if I wanted to. It was in the air, it was hovering, it was a sphere. And it was, the first thing I noticed is that it looked like it was a ball of fire. And then it was like golden, kind of golden orangish fire, golden orangish reddish fire. And this next thing I noticed was that I could see the Star of David in it, or that it was the Star of David on fire. And it was the Star of David three-dimensionally, so that it was pyramids pointing up and down and crossing through each other. But not only were they three-dimensional pyramids of these like essentially like energy polygons, the two pyramids were rotating. Like the one with the point up and the one with the point down, they were rotating on the vertical axis of those points with each other, like spinning through each other, and possibly changing size and even a little bit of shape within that motion. It was hard to tell, and I knew what I was seeing, and I couldn't think of the word. And I remember Cheeseburger going, he like asked me, like, "Is that a Merkaba?" And it was kind of weird because I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And like, it was like he read the word out of my mind that I was trying to say. He was kind of into this shit too. Like he was somewhat aware of various occult ideas. And I just remember us staring at it and all of us being like, "What the fuck?" Like even the drunk people who had been being really loud and obnoxious up to that point, like went silent. I feel like the birds went silent. And here's the thing, like the thing was not, the Merkaba wasn't making a noise. It felt like it was making a noise. And I don't know how to explain that, but like looking at it, you thought it sounded like, but it wasn't making any sound, but like you felt that. At least I did, And it was moving really slow, maybe like less than a foot a second, just kind of like soft hovering, but it was moving. And it was slowly moving away from the hill. Like it was kind of coming towards us, but off of the hill. So it was eventually like veering away far, towards downtown. And I remember it very, very slowly going out the several, like, I don't know, I think it's like 8 blocks or something, from downtown to Skinner's Butte, maybe a little more. Or maybe a little less, I don't know exactly. But it got to where I think Olive and Broadway is in Eugene, specifically where I was like my main hangout. That was like the main corner that I did all of my busking and stuff. And it's about a block north of the LTC bus station. So I watched this thing go over what I think to be like essentially the downtown main intersection. You could say the Kesey Square's technically more center, but whatever. You get my point. So this thing hovers over the downtown, and again, it was moving slow, and then instead of it like stopped moving, and then just started to shrink until it became the size of light, a little dot of light, no bigger than any of the other stars that had emerged since it first appeared. Like I said, it first appeared like right when the sun was finally disappearing, like right when light was leaving. And it took just enough time so that by the time it got downtown, it was dark and you could see the other stars, and it just disappeared amongst them. Like it was holding still, but it got so small that like you just lost it. You were like, fuck, it looks like any other speck of light in the sky. And I have no idea what to think about it. I mean, am I positive and certain with 100% certainty I know what I saw? Like, no, but like the word I know to describe what I saw was a Merkaba. And it was awe-inspiring. I didn't feel fear, but I felt this like utter awe of like, holy fuck. Like, you know, my feeling of what we were seeing is that like it was a fourth dimensional object passing through two-dimensional space. And if you've ever like read like Flatland by Edwin Abbott, you could sort of understand that if you project it down into two-dimensional space. Like if you imagine that you lived in two-dimensional space and a three-dimensional hand came down into your little slice of world, you wouldn't like say it went fingers first, you wouldn't see a single hand, you'd see four objects. You'd see the slice of the four fingers first. Anyway, it's not good over audio to try and explain this stuff, but conceptually, I felt like that's what we were seeing. We were seeing like a slice of a four-dimensional object moving through three-dimensional space. It was at a weird time in my life when lots of weird things were happening, some of which were probably psychosis and or drugs, and other ones I still to this day can't explain. And me seeing the Merkaba is but one of them. Thank you for listening.
Well, I don't know about you, but I found that to be a very titillating story of a Merkaba who just wanted to join the party. Now shut up, Merkabas don't get high. How do you know? You hang out with him? Are you an expert on Merkaba? No, I'm not. And it doesn't matter because we've run out of time. But fret not, we shall return with more tales of Merkaba, or perhaps just the macabre. It's macabre. Now fuck off. What are you, an expert on the French? Only the champagne. You've been watching Orson Welles films again, haven't you? Yes, I have. Would you like to come and be my little rosebud? Even though the answer to that is most certainly no. You can, if you so choose, be a part of the Paraloony podcast. All you have to do is send me an audio file of you telling your scariest real-life paranormal story. Just send me an audio file, 10 minutes, no more, no less, in 1-minute blocks. It makes the editing so much easier. Or you can send me a story of no more than 2,000 words, and I will read it and set it to music with drums and creepy voices. So, if that sounds like something you want to do, send all stories to www.exploitationmedia.com, and I'll sing your praises in heaven or hell, if you prefer. We'll see you next time on the Paraloony Podcast.